This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we've begun talking about the statement of cash flow. And this is a statement that a lot of people who are advising people were not looking at. And what this statement tells us that there are three sources of cash: operations, investment, and financing. If you don't have any cash in operation, you're in bad shape. And we equated that to an individual who didn't have a salary and strictly sold his assets and borrowed money to get cash. And so just like you would be in bad shape if you didn't have a salary and you had to sell your current assets that you have, your house and your car, and borrow to live, then that'd be a tough situation. So we have to look at the same thing for companies, or if they're creating revenue, especially, and don't have cash. And we went through the deriving how we're going to do it. In Principles 1, we simply looked at all of the cash items. But in Principles 2, we go back to the original equation: assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. Okay. Then we say assets equal liabilities plus common stock plus retained earnings. Then cash plus other assets. Then we finally say cash equals liabilities plus common stock plus retained earnings plus all the other assets. And we get down here at 7 and say we can find the change in cash by looking at the change in all these other assets. So this is how this statement is prepared. It's out there, it's available. People did not look at this statement, and so they got missiled, or if a company just are performing poorly. And so everybody will be doing an individual cash flow statement. You'll pick a company that's publicly traded, and you'll tell me whether you're going to invest $1 million or not. That's due next Tuesday. This is just to give you experience of doing this. Just like the statement of cash, like your fraudulent company report, no right or wrong answer. So you're going to look at the information and make a decision. So there are some examples in there. They don't have to be as extensive. You talk about the company, you make a copy of its cash flow statements, mainly looking at these areas of operation. And you can do it just in these areas only. There'll be some sub areas underneath. But given the operation, investment, and financing, would you invest $1 million in this company? Would you go work for it? So that will be due next Tuesday. Another thing becomes, okay, if we do a statement of cash flow and we're looking at the changes in all of these items, where do they go on the statement of cash flow? Current liabilities are going to be in part 1, operations. Long-term liabilities are going to be in part 3. Common stock, part 3. Net income is going to be in part 1 as a source. Dividends are going to be in part 3. Current assets are going to be in part 1. Long-term assets in part 2. The contra assets are going to be in part 1. So basically, you're looking at was cash provided by the net income plus, you know, the current assets going down, so they sold the current assets, and the current liabilities that they went down. They didn't increase too much. So it's all of these current items that we look at to see if there were cash in operations. For long-term assets, if we have cash there, if it went down, that means we're expanding. That's good. If it went up, that means we sold some. And finally, the financing. Cash from financing, like borrowing, increasing stock, that has nothing to do with operations in terms of whether the company's doing well. That's what we're saying about that in-run example, they got all the cash by borrowing money in fictitiously created revenue. So this is a table. We'll come back to it. Uh, so if you didn't have a template, it would be difficult to do a cash flow statement if I just said do it. But you got a template here. And basically it tells you what's going to be in operations. It tells you what's going to be in investments. And it tells you what's going to be in financing. And it tells you the change in the cash flow. Okay. It's going to tell you those things. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have a income statement and a balance sheet, and you're going to be told to do a statement of cash flow. So that's what you're going to be told to do. Okay, so how then do we get the statement of cash flow done? If we got an income statement and a balance sheet, how do we get a cash flow statement done? So you should now be pulling up this template. Hopefully you have it somewhere in what I sent to you. So to make it easy, there are 4 things that we're going to do to start off making the statement of cash flow. The first thing we're going to do, number 1, is put in the change in cash. And I'll put that in red. So when you get ready to do a cash flow statement, the first thing you're going to do is put in the change in cash. The second thing you're going to do is to put in the net income, which is on the income statement, or the net loss, which is on the income statement. You have one or the other. That's the second thing you're going to do. The third thing you're going to do is put in the depreciation, because depreciation is a non-cash item, and it's going to be on the income statement, or it's going to be on the change in accumulated depreciation. And the fourth thing you're going to do is put in the dividend. And so when you put those 4 things in, if you can put those 4 things in, then you have a C on the problem. If you can get those 4 things done, you got a C. So here is the income statement. Here is the balance sheet. Can you do those 4 things? I put the changes over here, then I put the location of the changes. So cash is always in part 4 of the statement. Okay? Accounts receivable is in part 1. Inventory is in part 1. Equipment is in part 2. Depreciation, the change in depreciation is in part 1. Contra account. The investment in the common stock, IBM stock of another company. That's part 2. Accounts payable is in part 1. The long-term bond is in part 3. And common stock is in part 3. And then we have retained earnings. There are 2 components of retained earnings. There's the net income, a loss, and that's going to be in part one. Then we have the dividend component of retained earnings, and that's going to be in part three. So I'm showing you where the items go. But right now, and you should have this sample problem, even what I sent you in the primer. I want you to do things 1, 2, 3, and 4 and earn you a C on this. Put in the change in cash flow, put in the net income, or loss, the depreciation, and dividends. I want you to do those 4 things for me. So you lost and you confused, that's fine. Just go and do those 4 things and you got a C. So how you coming and putting those things on the answer sheet? Do you have the first one? Branch, you got the first one?
Not yet, Dr. Boyd.
Okay, we talked about it in terms of changes. And so I put this column here for change. The change in cash was 0. Okay? So this 0 is the answer to the problem. Since cash didn't change, then the answer to the problem is 0.
Okay, I'm kind of confused on what's going on.
We're putting the changes on the statement of cash flow. We said that we could get the change in cash by looking at the change in every other asset. And the change in cash equals all of these changes. So we're going to put these changes in 3 locations. So what I told you to do was go to the balance sheet and see what the change in cash was. 100,000 at the beginning, 100,000 at the end. There was no change in cash. Okay? Do you see that?
Yes, yes, I see it.
So that's the first thing I want you to put on there, the change in cash. That's the answer. Then I want you to put the net income and net loss. So in this case, we have what? a loss of 75,000. So that 75,000 is coming here. So that becomes a use. The third thing I told you to do was what? Put in depreciation. You can get depreciation from one or two places. Here it is on the income statement separately stated. Or you can look at the change in accumulate depreciation between the beginning and end of the year. So it went up by 25,000. So that's the third thing that we're going to put on our statement. As we work to prepare a statement of cash flow. Statement that these people didn't know anything about and got swindled out of all of their money. Finally, we want the dividends. That's the fourth thing. So we go to these statements and we don't see any dividends anywhere, but we'll make a calculation of the dividends. And the way we're going to do that is to do a statement of retained earnings. The beginning balance in the statement of retained earnings will be this 300,000. So we have $300,000 in retained earnings. We had a net loss of 75,000. And so that difference means that retained earnings, 225,000 after we pay, after we take into account that there was a loss. The ending retained earnings we said was 200,000. So what the dividends have to be? What did the dividend have to be? Well, if it's 225 before the dividend, it's 200 afterwards. The dividend must have been 25,000. So this is a statement of cash flow where we know the beginning balance, the loss of income, and the ending, and we calculate it just backed into the dividend is 25,000. And so we now have the dividend part. So if you can do those things, you get a C on the exam. Just those four things. That sounds like a good deal to me. In the right place, of course, but you got the template. Now let's see what we've done now. On the balance sheet, we've taken care of the cash.
Professor Board,
Yes,
is this class session, will it be recorded on YouTube?
I hope so. Have I been recording?
Yes. Okay. This is going to be on the test.
Yeah.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So we were recording. So all we're trying to do is we got the change in cash. Now we got to look at all these other changes. We've done this one already. And we also have done retained earnings as we put in the loss and the dividend. So we are explaining the change in cash, looking at every other account. So now we just start in order, but we got 4 things done. We got our C. We got 4 things done. Let's go to account receivable. That's the next one up. Account receivable went down by 50,000. Okay, what does the template tell us? First of all, we in part 1. If there's a decrease in the current asset, it's the source. If there's an increase, it's a use. So because with the receivables, they went down by 25,000, they become a source. So I had a receivable here, 25,000. The other current asset we have is inventory. It went up by 150,000. So that means we either paid cash or got to pay cash. So there's a reduction in cash. So that's 150,000. So the increase in the asset is a source of cash. Excuse me, is a use of cash on the use side. So if we buy inventory, that's a use of cash. If we sell it and collect the receivables, that's a source. So we have to know that. So now, as we're looking at everything on here, we can go ahead and scratch these out. So we're just going through and analyzing everything. And this was 10150,000. Now we're going to go to equipment, and equipment goes in part 2. It went up, so it's a use. So we get the difference. It went up, and so it's a use. Goes in part 2. So we got the equipment taken care of. That is, we're looking at the change and everything else uh, to come up with the change in cash, which got to be 0 at the end of the day. Now we have this investment in the IBM stock. It went down, so we sold it. But how much cash did we get? Well, we look up here and we see we had a gain of 25,000. So if something cost us 50 and we had a gain of 25,000, the change had to be 75,000. So you got to work with me on work with me on this a little bit. The change is 75,000. The item costs 50, and there's a gain up here. And so what we're going to do, we don't want this gain in part 1 of operations. We don't want it there. And so we're going to go to our sheet and add that gain back of 25,000. That is from operations. The company lost 100,000. The gain had it looking like the loss, like it was 75,000, but it's actually 100. So when we add it back, we get the loss back to 100,000. Then, since we had a gain of 25 and it cost us 50, we got $75,000. But we want that here in part two. That's the Macy's selling in stores. That's not a continuing item. We want Macy's to be selling clothes, but if they start to sell their long-term assets, that's problematic. So that's a little different. I have an example with all situations in it. When you get the first homework problems, we won't have extra things in it, but your example has every situation. Okay, so now we've taken care of that. Now let's go to the liabilities. Accounts payable went up by what? But went down by what? 50,000. So what happened to your cash when you pay on your student loan? What's gonna happen to your cash when you pay on your student loan? Probably gonna go down. It's gonna be a use. So we're gonna take that 50,000 and go to part one because that's a current liability, and that's gonna be a use of 50,000. Then lo and behold, we come to long-term bond payable, and it goes from 0 to 450,000, and that goes in part three. So are you gonna invest $1 million in this company? Are you going to invest $1 million in this company? So we got the account payable and the long-term bond payable taken care of. We got common stock left, and it went up by
Where did the
50,000.
450 come from?
Where'd the 450 come from?
Is the total liabilities and stockholder equity?
No, at the beginning of the year we didn't have any bonds. At the end of the year we had 450,000. So at the beginning of the year you didn't have a student loan. At the end of the year you had a 45,000 student loan. So how do you feel about that? If you went from no student loan to 45,000,
I'll be trying to figure out where it came from.
but something else you got to figure out too. How you gonna pay it back? That's the bigger issue. Then the common stock went up by 50,000, so that's gonna be in part three. And so we're gonna put that in part three. So what we're gonna do? I get this extra zero out. Okay. How much cash do we have on operations? We add up the sources, 25 and 25, and that's $50,000. Then we add up the uses. How much were the uses in operations? $75 plus $150 plus $50, $200, $275. Is that $300,000?
Yeah, 300,000.
So your sources in operation were 50, your uses were 300. And so therefore, in operation, you got a minus 250,000. You say, well, I don't know about this company. If operations looking that way, since it's supposed to be positive. Now let's go to investments. So we got 75,000 in cash. We bought 300,000 in equipment. So how much was this? So we netted $225,000. So where did it come from? We didn't have an operation. We got a minus 225 here. So where did all our money come from? This is Ponzi schemes and etc. We borrowed or got from other people 500,000. We paid a dividend of 25,000. And so therefore, most of our money came from financing. Well, money needs to come from earnings, not borrowing. So let's see what happens now when we add them up. If we add a minus 250 and a minus 225, how much is that? A minus 250 and a minus 225. Is that a minus 475? And we got 475 we borrowed. So we calculate zero from parts 1, 2, and 3 as a change in cash, which is what we said it was going to be anyway. That's what we said it was going to be, zero. So we do the calculation and it's zero. So if you remember, the beginning cash was 100, the ending cash was 100. So beginning cash is 100,000, ending cash is 100,000. So this company was operating on borrowed money, not any income. So whenever you look at a company, as you may not understand all of this, but you ought to understand that if a company don't have money in operations, it's in trouble. So you don't just look at the income statement, you look at the statement of cash flow. Then you got to look at the cash from investments. So they expanded, that's fine, but all of it came because you borrowed money. So that's like you personally taking out a big loan, buying you a house and a car, and you don't have a job. So you get a loan shark to loan you some money, and you buy a house and a car, and you don't have a job to pay it back. Eventually, that's going to be a day of reckoning. So So when we're looking at Ponzi schemes, what they're going to do is show a lot of money down here coming in as people continue to invest. That's the problem. But there's no money up here and no earnings. And so now you have a capacity to look at that and make a decision. Are there any questions? So when we had the fraudulent companies, they didn't look at this statement. They just looked at the income statement and the balance sheet. They might would have seen some different things if they had looked at the statement of cash flow. So that's why you're doing a statement of cash flow paper for a company. You're going to go through and get its cash flows for 3 years, and you're going to make a determination. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go to the homework. We're going to the homework. So what I want everybody to do is to go to that first problem they assigned and do those 4 things I told you to do. So everybody, you got problem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody is to go to the problem assigned and do things, items 1, the change in cash, 2, the net income or loss, 3, the depreciation, and 4, the dividend. So if you can do that, you got a C on the test. If you can get those things done. Are there any questions about what I want you to do?
Where's the homework? I'm trying to find it.
It should be in an insert on the course content on the cash flow, statement of cash flow. Does anybody see it there?
No, we cannot see it.
Y'all can't see it.
No.
Does it say insert at the end?
Oh, it says statement uh, 01 of cash flow insert. Is that it?
Hmm.
Yeah, try that one.
Yeah, that's it.
Y'all didn't look at that before class? Okay, so I want team 1 to do problem 1. Team 2, you're doing problem 2. Team 3, you're doing problem 3. Team 4, you're doing problem 4. Team 5, you're doing problem 5. Now, if you didn't have a template and I tell you to do this, uh, you might have reason to complain. But I've shown you how to do it. I got a template for you to fill in. And you can see from them fraudulent companies. And somebody may mention, well, we don't have any recent frauds. Well, the frauds come out 10 years later. So the frauds that are being promulgated now, they won't be made known until 5 to 10 years from now. That's why you got to be on top of the statement and be looking at it. Nobody gonna go around telling you we frauding, we defrauding you. They just show up with financial statements and say, give us your money. So the 2010 frauds show up in 2020. So the 2020 frauds are gonna show up in 2030. The 2015 is gonna show up in 2025 or so. So you got to be alert. So you're gonna be alert by doing your cash flow paper and practicing company you might want to work for, you might want to invest money in. That company uh, needs to be publicly traded so you can get the cash flow statement. Any company you can get the cash flow statement for. I want you to look at it and then make a determination. There is no right or wrong answer. I just want you to look at it and give me your opinion. So you got to tell me what you're gonna do. Either you're gonna invest or you're not gonna invest. Does everybody see their problem? All right, you all have 12 minutes
I
to
don't
get
see
that
that
done.
problem.
Say what?
I don't see that problem. Like I'm scrolling and I don't see the problem.
Wait a minute. Are you in Blackboard Weatherspoon?
Yes,
You don't see. Go to course content, and under
I'm on
course
course.
content, go to cash flow. Do
I'm
you
at
see
cash
it?
flow.
It's going to be one of the last two items in cash flow.
Statement one,
Probably is. I hope.
the template.
The template is an Excel template you can work on. Then it should be the item before that that has
So
all of these problems. So you got an
statement of
Excel
cash
template
flow
to work
insert.
with.
That's what it says.
Say what? Yeah, the insert. So you now are able now to get into Blackboard, correct?
Yeah, but I'm looking for the problems on the insert that you sent.
We'll just keep going through the insert. Can you open the insert?
I found the insert.
Okay, so open it.
Okay, I got it.
All right, good. So I want everybody, you can do it on the Excel sheet or you can do it on the Word document. Do the first four things on the first problem that you've been assigned, and you got 10 more minutes to get that done.
So are we doing this as a team right now, or are we just doing this individually?
Individually, your team, you're going to get together with your team later,
Oh, okay.
but we're just having everybody on the team work now because everybody, should be able to, you got to eventually have an individualized test. So what should be happening, everybody should be working something, then comparing notes. And so with your template and everything, see if you can get through the first four items.
Professor Board,
Yes.
what if I can't catch up with my team? I'm sick of them. I just can't catch up with them.
Del Rio, catch up with her, please. Aren't you on
I'm
team
I'm
five?
trying to figure out how to do this.
Yeah, Daria is not. I have been trying to reach out to Daria, and he just will not respond.
Reach
Where?
back, Del Rio. You owe me a favor, you know.
Wait, where did you try to reach out on?
On Blackboard through the mail through the messages, and then I tried to reach out to you here on through the little instant messages here, and
Here?
I gave you my phone number.
Let me
So
see.
Del Rio, give her your information in the chat
Where are
too.
you in group 5?
Yes.
All right. You have a group me?
No. But I can send you my number here through the group chat on
Okay. Can you do that?
Yeah. And then y'all put
yes.
her and show her how to get in the group me.
Okay.
So Andre, when you in the group me, if they say anything bad about me, you tell me, all right?
I sure I sure will.
I don't know about those group me's, so yeah, they got their group me's.
Yeah. I've been looking for them.
Okay, so you need to find that and everything. That's just the way education goes. That's a new thing, and it's a good thing 'cause that's how people get in contact and they send out things. And so if you miss something, you miss a class, you can then
Yes.
communicate in the group meeting with your team and get
Yes.
what's missing. So you don't have to depend on me all the time.
Yes, I've been on. That was him calling.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
And remember, we want to learn to work in teams. That's just the way life is.
Professor, can you check your email?
Email.
Yeah, I emailed you a couple of days ago. Maybe it was last class and I never got a response.
I may not have gotten to it. You emailed today now, just now?
No, no, it wasn't today. It was a couple of days ago, I think.
All right, I'll check it.
I know I keep going down. Yeah. I can see you responding. You could just tell me.
All that was team. Every what you asked me, all
You
those
you
were
had
team assignments.
you had put me like before you put the teams in Blackboard. You had told me to go to team one, and then I just been
Okay,
working with that team ever since, pretty much.
so they should have you now put
But
the grade.
you put me in team four though, like when you were doing the teams, like when you were making them and you put them in Blackboard, because I guess
You
you
can
didn't
switch
feel
if you
like.
want.
All right, bet that's all I was wondering.
Just make sure they're in. Now I put the preliminary grades in. Do you have grades?
Yeah, I have one grade in. I got like it said a 7 out of 10, I guess, and then that's the only grade I got in.
So I think those are mainly team projects, and what they do is they include the people who work on it. So I made it easy. I had the problem 4 is team, and your fraud the company report was team. So
Okay,
you
so I'm in team one too, and I don't have no grades, but I'm in the same team. I
and you need
emailed
to
you
get with
too.
the team leader. I only put down what they send me, and they send me who works on the item. So you got to be working on it. But we'll clear that up later. Let's just work on this now, and then we'll clear it up later.
Professor Boyd, is he still there?
I'm here, get a lot of emails for our classes going on. What's up? What's up?
Okay, we're kind of inquisitive as to where's the questions that we supposed to divvy up to complete this assignment for the project. I don't see them. I just see the
We're on,
template.
we're not on the project right now. You talking about
Um, I, I
the
opened the
cash flow?
class four template. Yes,
That should be in course content.
yes, I see it, but it's just, I mean, what are we supposed to fill in? I don't see. It's.
It's a blank template and you can put your problem on that template. So if you're team 5, if I go to problem 5, what's the change in cash on problem 5?
Okay, where's the problem?
The item above that has the insert, cash flow insert.
Okay,
You see it?
hold on.
Del Rio,
Yeah.
what's your change in cash?
Well, I'm kind of like in the same situation as her. Like I'm confused.
Go to
Right.
problem 5.
Okay, where's problem 5?
Oh, you don't? Okay. Can't you get in course content? I think
Yes,
most.
I opened it. I opened the document. It says like the
Yes.
first page. It says statement of cash flow template in direct method.
Okay, that's the spreadsheet. There should
Okay.
be a Word document there also.
No, I don't see it.
Does
Okay.
anybody have the Word document with the problems?
What does it
Yeah,
say? What's
if you keep
what's the
scrolling
title?
down,
I
you
do.
see it. You say problem like 1 or problem 2, problem 3, problem 4, and so
You gotta
forth.
go to the one that says insert at the end.
Go to the insert and keep scrolling, and you'll see the problem.
Right, it's about 18 pages in there, but but the problems are right up under there, right, Professor?
They're in the bottom.
Yes, I see it. I see it. It's you're gonna
Right.
have to open up, Derry. You're gonna have to open up the one that has insert on the back of it.
Oh yeah, it says problem 8/5.
No, let me. I'm gonna text you.
All right.
Let me. Team 1, what's your change in cash? Team 1, what is your change in cash? You know, I got to pull up here.
Wouldn't it be 0?
You got 8-1. What is your change in cash?
200,000.
It would be 200,000.
Who said that?
Sierra.
It will be 200,000. And what is your net income?
Oh shit.
Don't you have an income statement?
Is it 350,000?
Yep, that's correct. What's your depreciation? What is your depreciation?
Wouldn't it be 150,000? Am I reading correct?
Got to
200.
get the change. That sounds like too much. All right, let me go on to team 2. What is your change in cash, team 2?
Change in cash. Let's see.
Team 2, what is your change in cash?
150,000. This for problem 2.
Problem 2.
150,000.
Thought that was the beginning cash.
Oh, 875,000.
That's the ending cash. So how much did it change?
So you gotta like subtract it, right?
Yep, that's all you got to do.
Okay, all right.
725,000.
That's all you had to do. What's the net income? You got an income statement. What does it say the net income is?
800,000.
Yes. As y'all try to make it difficult. And how much is the depreciation?
100,000.
That's it. All right, let's go to team 3. Team 3, what is your change in cash?
Is it 0?
What about 0? If the beginning cash was 100 and the ending is 150, what's the
Oh,
change?
okay. It's but then we had a loss though, right?
I didn't ask you to ask you about change in
Oh,
cash.
Isn't it
You being hard
50,000?
headed. How what?
okay.
Is it
50.
50,000?
Just 50,000. Y'all can't be hard
50,000.
headed
Okay.
now. Do what I told you to do. And what's the net
Okay.
income? Yes. The net
Didn't
income
we
is
have a
what?
loss?
We had a
Got a
Wasn't it net
loss?
loss.
loss? Yeah, it's
25,000.
25,000.
It's twenty five
And what's
thousand.
depreciation?
It's 25,000.
Okay. You just put those
Mhm.
items in where I told you.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I don't. Okay, I get it now. I'm sorry. I was like,
Well, it's because we needed an example in order to do it, Professor.
I,
Like
I thought
that's
we.
what we needed.
All right, let's go to team 4. What is your
Um,
change in cash?
500,000.
500,000.
What's your net income?
500,000.
500,000.
500,000.
What is your depreciation?
200,000.
200,000.
300,000.
What's your gain on the sale of land?
500,000.
500,000.
How much cash did you get for the land? Just think about that.
350.
100,000.
I think you might have got more than that. Work on that. Remember, you got to balance out. All right, team 5. What is your change in cash?
400,000,
Thank you. What's your net income?
550,000,
Your depreciation?
appreciation 150,000.
All right, sounds good to me. So this wasn't that bad, was it?
No, it wasn't bad. It's because I just had to like understand like where to get the information from.
Yeah, it was like you was moving and putting numbers places, and we was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Shit
If I
was hella.
asked y'all, y'all didn't say anything. So now you know. So you all will be talking on Thursday, okay?
Okay.
You all will be presenting, so you can turn your stuff in, but what you present is the key. Your team present.
Okay.
Teams are
So
responsible for all of the problems, but I got each team working one. They don't take that long to do. So hopefully we can have our exam on Thursday, on Tuesday. You got a template and everything. And then maybe the following Thursday will be face to face. So the face to face people can begin to shine more.
So for the exam, it's online, or I know it's online, but how do we do it? Do we have a deadline to turn it in at 11:59?
You have a deadline from 4 to 6, probably.
4 to 6, and the camera and all that stuff have to be on.
Yep.
And
Okay.
when is this?
I- I'll have the number of points I'm taking off of you. Your camera's not on. Do my exam.
Ever since we started this class, I was not able to turn on camera for this website, but for other
Just let
websites
me
I
know.
can.
Just let me know. That's okay. If that's the case. Yeah, we can understand that.
Do we have to do that lockdown browser kind of stuff?
No, I don't do all of that.
Thank you.
And when is the exam?
Next Tuesday,
And it's going to cover what we just went over today, or from the beginning of class, the balance
from the
sheet and all
beginning of
that.
class, of course, but
Okay.
focusing on what we're doing now
When is the
Okay.
project due? The one that we gotta
in the
do for
semester.
the company?
In
No,
the
no, not that one. The you
oh,
said there's
that's
like a
due Tuesday.
PowerPoint.
That's
Tuesday.
Okay,
due Tuesday,
okay, thank
and you'll have a study problem to get you ready for the exam. So I'll get that to you also.
Okay.
So you got templates, okay? So you just have to learn how to put things in the template. If you didn't have templates, then boom. So this is what happened when this material was taught to a lot of people. They just didn't have templates, and they really couldn't get their arms around it. And nobody told them to do 4 things. They just told them to go and do a statement of cash flow. So you're way ahead of the game. Just go and work with this, and you'll be where you need to be. All right. So
Gotcha.
teams will be presenting on Thursday. Each team has 2 problems: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the fifth one after that. So teams, just let everybody work on it individually. Then you come and compare. So hopefully the teams will work. The teams are there to assist and make it easier to do team learning and help with passing the class. So that's the purpose of the teams. If you're doing all this by yourself, it can be overwhelming. So, but you got to make the teams work, and you got to participate. So I'm counting on you all to do it. I got the teams in. You're doing teamwork. We're doing a lot of it since we're online, so that your grade is not overly impacted. You just got to make the team work. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so make the teams work. If not, you'll be fired. And what the Texans do, fire the coach if the team don't win enough games. So anyway, like I said, work with it. Let's try to make the teams work. Realize they're there for an advantage to everybody. When you help somebody who needs help, you learn it better. And we're trying to get everybody through. So people who are here who have their screens on, so I'm committed to them. A lot of screens not on today. So I tell you all, and I'm not gonna repeat myself all the time, but if your screen is on, then I figure it's up to me to help you pass. If your screen is not on, you're on your own. Okay? All right. So you all have a good rest of your day. Be ready to uh, get those problems done. If they're missed assignment, I look at the emails on that. And some people having some issues, some coming back earlier than normal just because of that. And like I said, when I get back, face if virtual was an issue, then I'll just break face to face more. So that'll count more. So it's not that you'll be hurt by it. But we'll begin to work on managerial accounting when we get back. So that'll be a whole new template. So if you had issues with this first one, then boom, that won't affect you. But then you're gonna have to do the next one. So everybody have a good one, and we will see you all on Thursday.
Okay, Professor Boyd, before you go, I did talk to my group and I heard somebody talking about their grades that they didn't have any in their grade book, but they other teammates did. And that's the same with me. And all of my name should be on every assignment and I don't have any grades in, but they have grades.
So email me,
Okay.
and what I'll do, I'll look at what was turned into me. Now, if a person turns something in and don't have people down, it's one or two things. They made a mistake, so the team loses 2 points. Or they're saying the person didn't work. So whoever the team leader is, that person needs to send me what they sent in.
Okay, I'll resend tell them to send, you want them to even re-email you the assignments because I'm 100% sure my name is on all of them.
I can remember one assignment I got where it was only the team person who sent it on it. I can tell you that right now. And so if they
Okay, so
don't
I'm
put
gonna email
their name
you.
on it, they can check what they sent to me. So you tell
Okay.
your team leader to check what they sent and see if what they sent, they had the team member's name down on it.
All right.
So that's the team's responsibility. And if it's my mistake, I'll correct it. Okay?
All right.
Okay. But if you got points, you'll get your points. That's why I send the spreadsheets out so I can correct them when there are issues. Okay? All right, y'all
Dr.
have a
Boy,
good one. We'll see you on Thursday.
Dr. Boy, I have a question as well for you guys.
Okay?
So I was here last Tuesday.